Now, there's another challenge, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, but it's a fiscal challenge. We as a nation face an extraordinary budget crisis, and it's a long-term factor. And it relates to how much we're spending in Washington. We're spending too much, and we're borrowing too much, and it can't keep on going like this. I saw a report recently that said that we're spending almost 60% of our federal dollars on entitlement programs. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, as well as interest added in there. Almost 60%. By the end of the next decade, it suggests that that's going to go to 70%. You can't be the world's superpower and only have 30% of your budget to split, with 15% then going to military. It's just not possible. We're going to have to get serious about looking at how we can reform our programs to, of course, provide all of the promises that have been made, but at the same time, to allow our budget and to allow our government to continue to operate at the level it needs to remain the superpower of the world. There's another challenge, and that's an economic challenge. And you recognize this. In my state, we're doing well. Our state's a high-tech state. It's a center of learning. We have 122 colleges and universities in Massachusetts. People come there from all over. Our economy's turned around. Our unemployment rate is down to 4.9%. I indicated we've added 37,000 jobs. But you know what? As a high-tech state, we're not adding jobs as fast as the nation as a whole. You wonder, well, why is that? One of the reasons is we're seeing jobs leave our state and go to Asia. It's a wonderful thing in some respects, but a little frightening in others. We've had jobs go from our state in the past. Textile jobs came here, ultimately left here and went off to Asia. We've had low-end jobs leave our country before, low-skilled jobs, low-paying jobs. But now we're seeing some high-end jobs also leave our country. I spoke with the chief executive officer of one of our country's major high-tech manufacturers of a large piece of equipment, high-technology piece of equipment. And I said, thinking to myself that he'd always be manufacturing and doing his work in the United States. And I said, what do you see over the next decade for your company? And he said, well, within 10 years, 90% of our employment will be in Asia. And I was shocked. And I said, do you think that just because you want to get a lower wage rate? And he says, no, it's not because of lower wages. It's because of an ample supply of knowledge workers there, and because the cutting-edge suppliers are increasingly there. And then I looked at the statistics and found out what he was talking about. 15 years ago, the number of PhDs that graduated per year in math and physical science in this country was about 4,700. And if you took all of Asia, they have about the same number, about 4,700 a year. Today, we've dropped down to about 4,400 a year, and they've risen to 24,900. They're graduating 5 times the number of engineers a year that we are. Look, this is great news that they're getting into the world economy. They're hardworking, they're educated, they're ambitious, they're family-oriented, they have mercantile skills. This is a terrific thing. People that have been locked in poverty for generations are coming out. They'll be able to buy products and services from this country. So it's good news, but it's also a challenge, because we want to make sure that this country always remains the superpower economically and military of this planet. And you can't be a Tier 1 military and a Tier 2 economy. And we're going to have to raise the bar in our country if we're going to make sure that we always lead the world. Because one thing's for sure, we don't want to become the France of the 21st century, having started off as a superpower and then see our power economically and militarily whittled away by virtue of not having recognized our problems and facing them head on. And there's some things I think we have to do to make sure that we are always the economic and military superpower, and that we can keep up with the challenge we face. I love that old quote by the cowboy philosopher Will Rogers. He said, even if you're on the right track, if you don't move, you'll get run over. And we're on the right track. We got to make sure that we get moving again, and that we recognize that what's coming down the road, way down the road, we're way ahead. But what's coming down the road suggests we got to pick up our game. First,